Do you ever feel like something's missing when you walk into Mass? Like your heart should be racing, but instead it feels ordinary? Have you noticed how we dress for job interviews, weddings, even dinner dates, but somehow Sunday Mass gets whatever's clean and comfortable? Dear brothers and sisters, every single Sunday, the greatest miracle on earth unfolds before our eyes. Christ becomes truly present. Angels fall silent. Heaven itself bends toward the altar. Yet so many of us enter God's house like it's just another stop on our weekend errands. Half-awake minds, distracted hearts. We dress for comfort, not for the sacred. We treat the extraordinary as routine. But what if the way you dress for Mass actually pleases the enemy? Not because it's scandalous, but because it's careless. Because it whispers in silence, this place, this moment, this miracle. It's all just ordinary. St. Padre Pio lived every Mass with tears streaming down his face, his body trembling with love and reverence. And the world could exist without the sun, he used to say, but it cannot exist without the Mass. For him, every gesture, every word, every single detail of the celebration was sacred. His life teaches us one undeniable truth. God deserves our best, even in the smallest things, especially in how we present ourselves before Him. Tonight, Padre Pio wants to warn you about 5 specific types of clothing that, even when they seem harmless, actually wound the sacred and hide our reverence. These aren't necessarily immodest outfits. They're something more subtle, more dangerous. They're clothes that make the holy feel common, that turn worship into routine, that make angels weep. If you believe that Mass deserves our deepest reverence, write in the comments, Padre Pio, teach me true worship. Your words help this message reach more hearts that need to hear it. The first type of clothing that grieves the Sacred Heart might surprise you. It's not what you think. It's not about showing too much skin or spending too much money. It's about what your clothes are actually preaching while you're trying to pray. And Satan loves it when we walk into God's house wearing the wrong message, because it means we've forgotten why we're really there. Are you ready to see Mass through Padre Pio's eyes, to understand what true reverence looks like? Then stay with me, because what you're about to discover will transform how you approach the most important hour of your week forever. The first type of clothing that makes demons celebrate is the shirt that preaches another gospel. You walk into the house of God wearing a message that has nothing to do with Him. Sarcastic quotes across your chest. Brand logos that scream worldly success. Images that belong anywhere but in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament. Be ashamed of sin, not of the gospel, Padre Pio used to say. But when you wear a shirt with a clever joke, a political slogan, or even an innocent cartoon character, you're turning yourself into a walking billboard for everything except what matters in that sacred moment. Picture this. You're kneeling during the consecration, the moment when bread and wine become the actual body and blood of Christ. The person behind you, trying to focus on the miracle unfolding on the altar, instead finds themselves reading the witty saying printed on your back. Their prayer gets interrupted. Their focus shifts from Jesus to your fashion statement. Maria, a devoted mother from our community, shared something that opened my eyes completely. She said, "I was going through the darkest period of my life, desperately trying to connect with God during Mass. My teenage son had been in an accident, and I was clinging to every moment of prayer like a lifeline. But the man in front of me wore a shirt with a beer advertisement and a joke about weekends. Every time I looked up from my desperate prayers, there it was. It felt like the world was mocking my attempts to find peace in the only place I knew to look." This isn't about being judgmental or legalistic. It's about understanding that our clothes speak before we do. When Padre Pio celebrated Mass, everything about him pointed to Jesus. His simple brown habit, his humble posture, even his tears, everything directed people's hearts toward the cross. He made himself transparent so others could see Christ more clearly. Your clothing should be silence before God. It should fade into the background, not compete with the altar for attention. When someone looks at you during Mass, they shouldn't remember your clever t-shirt. They should somehow be reminded that they're in the presence of something holy. The enemy doesn't need you to wear something obviously inappropriate. He just needs you to forget why you're there. He needs your shirt to carry a message that has nothing to do with worship, nothing to do with surrender, nothing to do with the love that brought you to that pew in the first place. Think about it this way. If you received a personal invitation to dinner at the White House, would you wear a shirt with a pizza advertisement? If you were meeting the Pope, would you choose an outfit that promoted your favorite sports team? Yet somehow, meeting with the King of Kings gets whatever happens to be in your closet. Before you put on that shirt next Sunday, ask yourself, what is this saying about my priorities? If Jesus himself were sitting in the pew behind me, would this message honor him or distract from him? Would this help someone else fall in love with God, or would it pull their attention toward earthly things? But the second type of clothing that grieves the Sacred Heart goes even deeper than wrong messages. It's about right clothes worn for wrong reasons, and it reveals something profound about the human heart that few people want to acknowledge. The second type of clothing that makes demons celebrate is the outfit of show. Not every vanity reveals itself through exposed skin. Sometimes it hides behind expensive fabric and perfect styling. It's the outfit chosen not to honor God, but to be noticed, admired, envied by others in the congregation. You've seen it. Maybe you've been it. The person who spends more time planning their Sunday look than preparing their heart for worship. Every accessory calculated, every detail designed to turn heads. They walk into church like it's a fashion runway, treating the pews like an audience instead of fellow worshippers. Padre Pio had strong words about this. Vanity is the daughter of pride, and pride is poison to the soul. When we dress to be admired rather than to worship, we transform Mass from an encounter with God into a performance for people. We become the star of our own show, forgetting that Jesus should be the only one in the spotlight. Here's what's heartbreaking about this. These aren't bad people. They love God. They attend Mass faithfully. But somewhere along the way, they started believing that looking perfect would make them feel worthy of God's love. They began confusing being well-dressed with being well-prepared spiritually. True reverence doesn't require designer labels or expensive jewelry. Padre Pio wore the same simple brown habit every day, yet kings and presidents sought his prayers. Why? Because holiness doesn't come from what you wear on your body, but from what you carry in your heart. The danger of dressing for show goes beyond personal vanity. It creates invisible barriers between people in God's house. The mother working 2 jobs, wearing her best but humble outfit, suddenly feels inadequate next to your designer ensemble. The elderly man in his only good shirt starts questioning whether he belongs in the same pew. The young person struggling financially begins to think that God's love somehow depends on clothing budgets. Mass is supposed to be where rich and poor, young and old, fashionable and simple, all become equal before the cross. When we dress to outshine others, we wound that beautiful unity. We make church feel exclusive instead of welcoming. We turn the house of God into a social club with unspoken dress codes. I remember watching Padre Pio during his final years. His habit was patched and worn, his sandals old and simple. Yet when he elevated the host, the entire congregation held their breath. Not because of how he looked, but because of how deeply he loved. His appearance pointed to something beyond himself. His very presence whispered, "Look at Jesus, not at me." Sarah, a young professional in our parish, confessed something that broke my heart. She said, "I used to spend my entire Sunday morning choosing the perfect outfit for church. I had a mental catalog of who wore what, and I was determined never to repeat an ensemble. During Mass, Instead of praying, I was mentally critiquing other people's fashion choices and wondering if they noticed mine. One Sunday, I realized I couldn't remember a single word of the gospel reading because I'd been too busy comparing my shoes to the woman next to me. That's when I knew something was terribly wrong. Before you choose your Sunday outfit, pause and examine your heart honestly. Are you dressing to disappear into worship or to be seen and admired? Are you preparing to encounter Jesus or to impress other people? Are you choosing clothes that help you pray or clothes that make you think about how others are looking at you? The third type of clothing that troubles the angels might seem harmless, even practical, but it reveals something dangerous about how we've learned to treat the most important appointment of our week. And it shows just how far we've drifted from understanding what we're really doing when we enter God's house. The third type of clothing that makes demons celebrate is the weekend uniform. The same jeans, sneakers, and casual t-shirt you wear to run errands, grab coffee, or do yard work. It's not inappropriate or immodest. It's something much more subtle and dangerous. It's indifferent. When you dress for Mass exactly like you dress for everything else, you're sending a message to your own heart. This is just another stop on my weekend to-do list. The grocery store gets the same attention as the house of God. The coffee shop receives the same preparation as the place where heaven touches earth. The mall gets the same consideration as the site of the greatest miracle in human history. Padre Pio understood something we've forgotten. Faith sees the invisible. If we truly believe that the invisible God becomes visible on that altar, if we really understand that we're witnessing the same sacrifice that happened on Calvary, wouldn't our clothes reflect that belief? Wouldn't our preparation show that we know something extraordinary is about to happen? This isn't about spending money you don't have or wearing clothes that make you uncomfortable. It's about intention. It's about taking 5 extra minutes to choose something that says, I'm going somewhere special, something that reminds your heart, even before you enter the church, that this hour is different from all the others. Think about how you prepare for important moments in your life. When you go to a job interview, you choose clothes that show respect for the opportunity. When you attend a wedding, you dress to honor the celebration. When you visit someone in the hospital, you present yourself with care and dignity. When you go to court, you dress with respect for the authority of the law. Yet somehow, meeting with the Creator of the universe gets whatever happens to be clean and comfortable. The weekend uniform doesn't just affect you, it affects everyone around you, especially the next generation. Children learn by watching. When they see adults treating church like any other place, they absorb the message that God doesn't require their best effort. They grow up thinking faith is casual, optional, something that fits around more important things. They never learn that some things are sacred, set apart, worthy of special attention. Brothers and sisters, let me share something that might transform your understanding of reverence and prayer. There's a special resource I want you to know about, something that can deepen your connection with Padre Pio's wisdom about prayer and devotion. It's called The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio. Miracles, protection, and divine graces. This spiritual treasure will help you learn to pray the Rosary with greater devotion and depth. Discover the miracles and testimonies of those who have experienced its power. Understand Padre Pio's most impactful teachings about prayer. Receive a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith, and access special prayers for protection, healing, and liberation. The Rosary was Padre Pio's greatest weapon against evil, and today it can be yours too. Don't miss this opportunity to strengthen your spiritual life with material that has already helped thousands of people transform their relationship with God. To download it, just click the link pinned in the comments. Now, here's what many people don't realize about the weekend uniform. It's not just about external appearance. It's about what happens to your internal disposition when you treat sacred things as ordinary. When everything becomes casual, nothing remains special. When every place gets the same attention, no place feels holy. The fourth type of clothing reveals something even more troubling about our modern approach to worship, something that would make Padre Pio weep if he saw how far we've drifted from understanding the magnitude of what happens at every Mass. The fourth type of clothing that makes demons celebrate is the garment of indifference. It's not immoral, it's not vain, it's not casual, it's just forgotten, chosen without prayer, without thought, without reverence. It's the outfit that says nothing because the heart that chose it feels nothing. This might be the most dangerous clothing of all because it reflects what Jesus warned about in Revelation chapter 3. Because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. Padre Pio called indifference the grave of faith. It's not hatred of God that destroys souls. It's the slow, creeping numbness that makes everything sacred feel ordinary. You know this feeling. You've experienced it. Sunday morning arrives, and you grab whatever's handy without a second thought, not because you don't love God, but because somewhere along the way, Mass became routine. The miracle became familiar. The extraordinary became expected. The life-changing became predictable. But here's what breaks my heart. Every Sunday, angels gather around every altar on earth. Saints who died for the faith watch as the same sacrifice that purchased their salvation unfolds again. Souls in purgatory would give anything to attend just one more Mass. Martyrs who shed their blood for the privilege of worship look down from heaven. And we can't even spare 5 minutes to choose our clothes with care. Indifference doesn't happen overnight. It creeps in slowly, disguised as maturity, as being beyond external things. We tell ourselves that God cares about our hearts, not our clothes. And while that's true, we forget that how we dress reflects what's actually in our hearts. We forget that our external choices reveal our internal priorities. When was the last time you prayed before getting dressed for Mass? When did you last ask God to help you prepare your whole self, inside and outside, for worship? When did you consider that your appearance might help or hinder someone else's prayer? When did you think about the example you're setting for children who are learning what it means to approach God? Padre Pio never did anything without prayer. He prayed before celebrating Mass, during Mass, after Mass. He prayed before eating, before sleeping, before making any decision. For him, every action was a conversation with God. Even putting on his habit each morning was an act of devotion, a way of saying, Lord, I want to be ready to serve you today. The garment of indifference is dangerous because it spreads like a spiritual infection. When you treat Mass casually, it affects how you treat prayer. When you approach worship carelessly, it influences how you approach Scripture. When the sacred becomes routine, everything holy starts to feel optional. When Sunday loses its specialness, every day becomes ordinary. Consider this. If an angel appeared to you next Saturday night and told you that Jesus would be physically, visibly present in your church the next morning, how would you prepare? What would you wear? How much time would you spend getting ready? How would your heart feel as you chose your clothes? But here's the beautiful truth that we often forget. Jesus is physically present at every Mass. The bread and wine truly become his body and blood. The same Jesus who walked on water, who healed the sick, who died and rose again, is there on that altar. The only difference is that we can't see him with our physical eyes. But faith sees what eyes cannot. The garment of indifference says to our own hearts, this isn't really that important. This is just something we do. This is just a tradition, a routine, a habit. But what if we chose our clothes with the same care we'd use if we knew we were about to see a miracle? Because we are. There's one more type of clothing that grieves the Sacred Heart, and this one might be the most surprising of all. It's not about what you wear, but about what your clothes do to others. It's about understanding that in the body of Christ, Our choices affect everyone around us, and sometimes what seems perfectly appropriate can actually become a stumbling block. The fifth type of clothing that makes demons celebrate is the outfit that distracts. It might be perfectly modest, completely appropriate, even beautiful. But it draws attention away from the altar and toward yourself. Strong perfume that fills 3 pews and makes people cough. Bright patterns that catch every eye during the most solemn moments. Jewelry that catches the light and sparkles during the consecration. Colors so vibrant, they become the focus of attention instead of the sacrifice. Here's what Padre Pio understood that we often miss. In the body of Christ, we're responsible for each other's spiritual well-being. Your clothing choices don't just affect you. They affect the grandmother trying to pray her rosary, the teenager struggling with faith, the father hoping to teach his children reverence, the mother seeking comfort in her darkest hour. Sarah, a young mother in our community, once told me something that illustrated this perfectly. She said, "I was going through the most difficult time in my marriage. My husband and I were barely speaking, and I desperately needed to feel God's presence during Mass. I came to church broken, hoping for some sign that everything would be okay. But the woman in front of me wore such strong perfume that I couldn't stop coughing. Her hair ornament caught the light and kept flashing in my peripheral vision. I spent the entire liturgy focused on my physical discomfort and visual distractions instead of my spiritual need. I left feeling more frustrated than comforted, and it took me weeks to realize that it wasn't God who was distant that day." This isn't about judgment or criticism. It's about love. It's about asking Padre Pio's question, do you help others love Jesus, or do you help them forget him? When someone leaves Mass remembering your outfit instead of the gospel, when your appearance becomes the topic of conversation instead of the homily, when people spend the liturgy looking at you instead of the altar, something has gone wrong. The outfit that distracts reveals a subtle form of pride. Not the obvious vanity of dressing to be admired, but the unconscious selfishness of forgetting that worship is never about us alone. We're part of a community, a family, a body. What affects one affects all. What distracts one can wound many. Satan doesn't need you to deny your faith. He just needs you to make it about yourself instead of about Jesus. He needs your clothes to become more interesting than the cross, your style more memorable than the sacrifice, your appearance more important than your attitude. He wins when people remember you instead of the miracle they witnessed. Consider the power of distraction in our modern world. We're constantly bombarded with stimuli competing for our attention. Social media, advertisements, notifications, noise. When people come to church, they're seeking refuge from all that chaos. They're hoping to find peace, silence, focus. They need space to breathe, to think, to pray. When our appearance adds to the distractions instead of contributing to the peace, we become part of the problem instead of part of the solution. Before you walk into church next Sunday, look in the mirror and ask yourself honestly, will this help people focus on Jesus or on me? Will this fragrance enhance prayer or interrupt it? Will this outfit fade into the background of worship or steal the spotlight from the altar? Will children learn reverence by watching me? Or will they learn that being noticed is more important than noticing God? Remember, Padre Pio didn't need sophisticated theology or complicated rules. He lived the gospel with profound simplicity. He served with humility, wept before the Eucharist, and dressed like someone who knew, I am standing before the Lamb of God. His entire being pointed toward Jesus. Everything about him helped others encounter Christ more deeply. If Padre Pio were sitting beside you in church next Sunday, what would your outfit say to him? Would it whisper reverence or shout distraction? Would it help him pray or make him worry about the state of modern faith? Would it remind him of the beauty of humble worship, or would it sadden him to see how far we've moved from understanding what we're really doing when we enter God's house? The choice is yours. The time is now. The angels are watching, and Jesus is waiting for your response to his incredible love. Dear brothers and sisters, reverence doesn't return through rules. It returns through love. It returns through example. And it all begins with you, in your bedroom on Sunday morning, as you stand before your closet and decide what kind of worshiper you want to be. Every Sunday morning, before you choose what to wear, remember this: you're not just getting dressed. You're preparing to meet the King of Kings. You're preparing to witness the same miracle that changed the course of human history. You're preparing to stand in the presence of the one who spoke galaxies into existence and chose to become bread for your sake. Ask yourself these simple questions. Does this express reverence? Is it clean and dignified, even if simple? Could it distract other believers from prayer? If I truly saw Jesus on that altar with my physical eyes, would I wear this? If my outfit could speak, what would it say about my faith? Padre Pio never used sophisticated words. He didn't need them. He lived the gospel with such depth that people traveled from around the world just to watch him celebrate Mass. He served with humility, wept before the host, and dressed like someone who truly believed, I am about to encounter the Lamb of God. When you dress for Mass, you're not just choosing clothes. You're choosing what your heart believes about that sacred hour. You're deciding whether you'll help create an atmosphere of worship or add to the distractions. You're determining whether your presence will lift others toward heaven or pull them toward earthly concerns. If Padre Pio were walking beside you toward church next Sunday, if he could see into your heart as you chose your outfit, what would he find there? Love or indifference? Reverence or routine? Humility or pride? The desire to worship or the need to be noticed? Here's the beautiful truth. You have the power to change the atmosphere in your church. When you dress with intentional reverence, others notice. When you approach the altar with visible respect, children learn. When you treat Mass like the miracle it is, hearts around you begin to remember why they came. You become part of the solution, part of the revival of authentic Catholic devotion that our world desperately needs. Dress like someone who believes that bread becomes body, wine becomes blood, and heaven touches earth every single Sunday. Dress like someone who knows that the angels are present, the saints are watching, and Jesus himself is about to appear before your eyes. Serve the Lord with great humility. Do everything with love. These were Padre Pio's words, and they can become your practice, starting this Sunday, starting with the simple choice of what to wear to meet your Savior. If these teachings have touched your heart, if you feel called to rediscover the beauty of reverence, write "thank you" in the comments. Your simple gesture helps this message reach more people who need to remember that some things are sacred, some moments are holy, and the way we present ourselves to God matters more than we might think. My dear brothers and sisters in faith, we are building something beautiful together. This channel exists to spread the timeless wisdom of Padre Pio and help Catholics rediscover the depth and beauty of our faith. But we can only continue this mission with your support and partnership. Every like you leave tells us these messages matter to you and helps more people discover these life-changing teachings. Every share helps another soul discover the transformative power of true reverence. And when you become a member of our channel family, you're joining a community dedicated to living the gospel more deeply each day. We're not just creating videos. We're igniting a revival of authentic Catholic devotion, one heart at a time. Your support helps us reach parents teaching their children about faith, young adults searching for meaning, and anyone hungry for the kind of holiness that Padre Pio embodied. Together, we can help restore the sacred to our modern world. Click that subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications, and join us in this beautiful mission of faith. Because when we come together in love for Jesus, miracles happen. Have you ever felt something strange in your home, that inexplicable heaviness that seems to linger in certain rooms? Perhaps you've woken up in the middle of the night with an overwhelming sensation of unease, your heart racing for no apparent reason. Maybe you've noticed that no matter how much you pray, there's a persistent feeling of spiritual blockage, as if something is preventing God's peace from fully entering your home. Imagine this. It's 3 a.m. and you suddenly awaken. The house is silent, yet something feels wrong. You look around your bedroom. Everything appears normal, but deep inside, you sense a presence, a heaviness that wasn't there before. Or perhaps you've noticed that every time you enter a specific room in your house, you feel an instant chill, a subtle feeling of anxiety that you can't explain. Maybe your family has been experiencing more frequent arguments, unexplained health issues, or a general sense of spiritual disconnection. What if I told you that these aren't random occurrences, but potential signs of spiritual interference? Padre Pio, one of the most spiritually gifted saints of our time, spent his life battling against dark spiritual forces. Through his profound mystical experiences, including bearing the wounds of Christ, he gained extraordinary insight into how the enemy operates in our everyday lives. He consistently warned that the devil doesn't need a formal invitation to enter our homes. Instead, he looks for subtle entryways, often through objects we consider harmless or even beneficial. What most people don't realize is that certain items in our homes can act as spiritual conductors, creating openings for negative influences to enter and disrupt our peace, our relationships, and our connection with God. These objects might seem innocent or merely decorative, but they can carry spiritual weight that affects everything around them. Today, I'm going to reveal the 5 objects that, according to Padre Pio's teachings, may be attracting demonic influences into your home. What you learn in the next few minutes could completely transform the spiritual atmosphere of your house and restore God's protective blessing over your family. These aren't just theories. Countless families have experienced profound spiritual renewal after removing these items from their homes. Stay with me until the end, because the final object I'll reveal is often the most overlooked, yet potentially the most dangerous. Your decision to act on this information could be the turning point your family has been praying for. If you've been feeling that something isn't right in your home, or if you want to ensure your space is spiritually protected, type, "I want protection," in the comments below. Let's begin this journey of spiritual cleansing together. The first category of objects that Padre Pio warned could invite negative spiritual forces into your home may be sitting innocently on your bookshelf right now. These are occult, esoteric, and certain spiritual books that contain teachings contrary to authentic Christian faith. Padre Pio once said, "The enemy hides in the details." This profound statement reveals how subtle the entry points for spiritual darkness can be. Books on witchcraft, sorcery, and the occult are obvious concerns. But what about those seemingly harmless books on astrology, tarot reading, crystal healing, or certain Eastern mystical practices? What about those popular novels that glorify paranormal activities, vampirism, or demonic powers, presenting them as exciting or romantic? Many people keep these books out of curiosity or entertainment value, not realizing the spiritual doorways they might be opening. Even items related to these practices, tarot cards, Ouija boards, crystal balls, certain figurines and amulets carry spiritual imprints that can disturb the peace in your home. Let me share something I've witnessed firsthand. There was a family, let's call them the Andersons, a devoted Christian household that seemed to be experiencing an unusual amount of conflict. Their teenage children were increasingly rebellious. Nightmares plagued family members, and a general sense of heaviness permeated their home. Despite regular prayer and church attendance, their home life continued to deteriorate. During a home blessing, Their pastor noticed several books on the family bookshelf about communicating with the dead, along with a collection of crystals the mother had received as a gift and kept for their beauty. The pastor gently explained the potential spiritual influence these items might have. Initially skeptical, the family decided to remove these items as an act of faith. Within weeks, the atmosphere in their home transformed. The constant tension dissipated. Their sleep improved dramatically, and family members reported feeling a lightness they hadn't experienced in years. Their prayer life, once feeling blocked and mechanical, became vibrant and meaningful again. The mother later said, "I never would have connected our family problems to those innocent items. I kept them solely for their aesthetic value, not realizing the spiritual weight they carried." This isn't about superstition. It's about spiritual discernment. Father Pio taught that certain objects can be consecrated to darkness, either intentionally by their creators or through their inherent connection to practices that open doors to spiritual realms outside of God's protection. Take a moment now to mentally walk through your home. Do you have books on magic, fortune-telling, or communicating with spirits? Do you possess objects used for divination, meditation focused on emptying yourself, or items specifically designed for non-Christian spiritual practices? Even gifts from well-meaning friends might carry spiritual attachments you're unaware of. If you've identified such items in your home, here's what Father Pio would advise. Don't sell these items, as that would simply transfer any negative spiritual influence to someone else. Instead, destroy them completely or dispose of them in a way they cannot be recovered. Afterward, pray over the spaces where these items were kept, asking for God's purification and protection. Remember, this isn't about fear. It's about creating a spiritually safe environment for you and your loved ones. As you remove these objects, invite God's presence to fill those spaces instead. The void left by removing negative influences should be filled with positive spiritual elements. Prayer, scripture, and blessed items that invite divine protection. Now let's move on to the second category of objects that could be affecting your home's spiritual atmosphere. And you might be surprised at what's hiding in plain sight on your walls and shelves. The second category of objects that Father Pio warned about might be hanging on your walls or sitting on your shelves right now, seemingly innocent images and decorations that carry hidden spiritual significance. Have you ever walked into a room and felt an immediate sense of unease without knowing why? Or noticed that a particular area of your home feels different from the rest? Father Pio was extraordinarily sensitive to the spiritual influence of images. He taught that what we surround ourselves with visually has a profound impact on our souls, often in ways we don't consciously recognize. And images speak to the soul more directly than words, Father Pio would say. Indeed, they bypass our rational mind and plant seeds directly in our spiritual consciousness. This understanding reveals why certain artwork, statues, masks, and decorative items can have such a powerful effect on the atmosphere of our homes. Let's be specific about what types of images and decorations might be problematic. Tribal masks or artifacts used in non-Christian religious ceremonies often retain spiritual connections to their original purpose. Artwork depicting demonic or grotesque figures, even when considered artistic or cultural, can project spiritual dissonance into your living space. Images glorifying violence, death, or sexual immorality may seem merely decorative, but can subtly influence the spiritual climate of your home. Ancient idols or statues of deities from other religions aren't simply cultural artifacts. They were designed as conduits for spiritual veneration. Even replicas of these items carry the symbolic weight of their original purpose. Modern items with occult symbols, pentagrams, certain geometric patterns with occult significance, images of the third eye, or other New Age symbols may seem trendy, but carry spiritual implications. Consider your home's decorations carefully. That statue you purchased as a souvenir from an exotic vacation, do you know its spiritual significance and its culture of origin? That interesting artwork with symbols you don't fully understand. Have you researched what those symbols represent spiritually? Even children's toys or decorations featuring creatures associated with darkness, certain types of dragons, monsters, or mythical beings with occult associations merit careful consideration. Father Pio recommended surrounding ourselves with images that elevate our thoughts toward God, sacred art, icons, or images that inspire virtue and goodness. These don't need to be overtly religious to be spiritually positive. Beautiful landscapes, artwork celebrating family and wholesome human connections, or images that evoke peace and tranquility can all contribute to a spiritually healthy environment. I encourage you to walk through your home with fresh eyes. Look at each piece of artwork, each decorative item, and ask yourself, does this bring light or darkness into my home? Does it align with my spiritual values? What is the spiritual origin or message of this item? Trust your intuition in this process. That sense of unease you may feel around certain objects is often the Holy Spirit's gentle guidance. For items you identify as potentially problematic, consider replacing them with alternatives that bring peace and elevate the spirit. Create a home environment that nurtures your soul rather than subtly undermining your spiritual well-being. If you're finding this guidance helpful and wish to deepen your understanding of spiritual protection for your home and family, I have something special to offer you. Our e-book, The Spiritual Secrets of Saint. Padre Pio contains powerful prayers, reflections based on his teachings, and practical advice to strengthen your spirituality. This resource explores Father Pio's profound insights into spiritual warfare and provides specific prayers for home protection, personal deliverance, and family blessing. To access this life-changing material, simply click the link pinned in the comments below. Many have testified how this resource has transformed their spiritual lives and brought newfound peace to their homes. Now let's continue with our exploration of objects that may be affecting your home's spiritual atmosphere. Now let's move on to the third category of potentially harmful influences, something most of us engage with daily without considering its spiritual impact. The third category that Father Pio warned could invite spiritual darkness into our homes is something most of us encounter daily: entertainment with negative spiritual influences. This includes certain types of music, movies, television shows, video games, and other media that may seem harmless but carry hidden spiritual dangers. Father Pio was remarkably prescient about the power of what enters through our senses. He often cautioned, our eyes and ears should be vigilant guardians, allowing in only what glorifies God. Though he lived in a simpler time, his wisdom applies even more urgently in our media-saturated world, where we constantly consume content that shapes our spiritual sensitivity. Not all entertainment is problematic, of course, but certain types deserve careful discernment. Music with lyrics that glorify violence, sexual exploitation, satanic references, or the occult doesn't merely entertain, it gradually desensitizes the soul to spiritual darkness. Horror movies that feature demonic possession, witchcraft, or occult rituals can serve as a form of vicarious participation in these activities. Video games that immerse players in dark spiritual narratives or occult practices can blur the line between entertainment and spiritual engagement. Even seemingly innocent entertainment can sometimes contain subtle spiritual messages that undermine faith or glorify values contrary to spiritual health. The danger isn't always in explicit content. Sometimes it's in the worldview being subtly promoted. Let me share a powerful testimony that illustrates this principle. A young woman, we'll call her Rebecca, struggled with persistent nightmares, unexplained anxiety, and a feeling of spiritual oppression that seemed to follow her everywhere. Despite being a person of faith who prayed regularly, she felt a constant spiritual heaviness she couldn't explain. During a spiritual retreat, she mentioned her love for certain horror movies and dark-themed music to her spiritual advisor. Though she considered these merely entertainment, just movies and just music, Her advisor suggested an experiment. For 1 month, she would avoid all entertainment with occult, demonic, or excessively violent themes. Rebecca was skeptical, but agreed to try. Within 2 weeks, she noticed her nightmares had stopped completely. By the end of the month, the persistent anxiety that had plagued her for years had diminished significantly. She described feeling spiritually lighter and found her prayer life deepening in ways she hadn't experienced before. "I never connected my entertainment choices with my spiritual struggles," she said. "Or I thought I was strong enough that it wouldn't affect me. I didn't realize how much those images and sounds were influencing my spiritual atmosphere." This doesn't mean we must avoid all secular entertainment. Rather, it calls us to be mindful consumers, recognizing that what we repeatedly expose ourselves to will inevitably shape our spiritual sensitivity. As Father Pio would say, what you feed grows, and what you starve dies. When we regularly feed our minds with darkness, we shouldn't be surprised when darkness grows within our spiritual space. I invite you to evaluate your entertainment choices with new awareness. What kind of music fills your home? What movies or shows do you watch regularly? What images from this entertainment linger in your mind? Pay attention to how you feel spiritually during and after consuming different types of media. That subtle heaviness or unease might be your spirit recognizing something your conscious mind has overlooked. Consider creating boundaries around entertainment in your home. Perhaps designate certain spaces as free from potentially problematic media. Be particularly vigilant about what entertainment is accessible to children whose spiritual sensitivity is still developing and who may be more vulnerable to negative influences. Most importantly, fill your home with alternatives that elevate rather than degrade, music that inspires, films that celebrate goodness and truth, and stories that illuminate rather than darken the human experience. Now let's move to our fourth category, one that might surprise you because it involves objects that often enter our homes through acts of love and generosity. The fourth category of objects that Father Pio cautioned about might surprise you because they often come into our homes through gestures of love or family connection, gifts and inherited items that carry spiritual attachments from their previous owners. This concept might seem unusual at first, but Father Pio was particularly sensitive to how objects can retain spiritual imprints. He regularly advised, not everything given with good intentions carries good spiritual energy. Father Pio would frequently recommend that all new items brought into the home be blessed before use, a practice born from his profound understanding of how spiritual influences can transfer through physical objects. Consider this: objects witness the lives of their owners. They're present during moments of joy, anger, despair, or spiritual practices. In the mysterious way that science cannot yet explain, but spiritual traditions have recognized for millennia, objects can absorb and retain something of these energies. This is particularly true of personal items that have been in close contact with someone for extended periods. Jewelry, clothing, furniture, and especially items used in any form of spiritual practice. When might you be concerned about a gift or inherited item? Pay attention to any object that, once brought into your home, coincides with unusual changes. Perhaps family arguments intensify, sleep becomes disturbed, or you experience unexplained feelings of heaviness or unease. An object that gives you an inexplicable sense of discomfort may be carrying spiritual baggage you're intuitively sensing. Be particularly discerning about antiques with unknown histories, items from cultures with strong spiritual practices different from your own. Jewelry worn during significant life events, especially negative ones, and anything previously owned by someone involved in occult practices. Even seemingly innocent heirlooms might carry the spiritual residue of family trauma, addiction, or unresolved anger. This isn't about rejecting family treasures or becoming suspicious of every gift. Rather, it's about developing spiritual discernment. Many inherited items and gifts bring genuine blessing and positive connections. The key is learning to distinguish between them. If you suspect an item might be carrying negative spiritual influence, consider these steps. First, pray for discernment about the object. Trust your spiritual intuition. If something consistently feels wrong, despite its apparent innocence, take that seriously. For items you wish to keep, consider having them blessed by a priest or pastor. This spiritual cleansing can remove negative attachments while preserving the positive connection the item represents. For items that continue to feel spiritually troubling, even after blessing, it may be wisest to respectfully remove them from your home. This doesn't require dramatic disposal. Simply moving them to storage outside your living space might be sufficient. For particularly problematic items, more definitive disposal might be necessary. Remember that your primary responsibility is to maintain a spiritually healthy environment for yourself and your family. While respecting the intentions behind gifts and honoring family connections through heirlooms is important, these considerations should not override spiritual well-being. Father Pio taught that our homes should be sanctuaries, places of spiritual safety and divine peace. Each object we bring into this sanctuary either contributes to or detracts from this purpose. By being mindful about the histories and spiritual qualities of the items we accept, we maintain the spiritual integrity of our home. As we move to our fifth and final category, prepare yourself for what Father Pio considered perhaps the most direct invitation to spiritual darkness. Items connected to behaviors that weaken our spiritual defenses and create openings for negative influences. The fifth and final category of objects that Father Pio warned about is perhaps the most direct invitation to spiritual darkness. Items associated with various forms of vice and addiction that create significant spiritual vulnerabilities in our homes and lives. Father Pio taught with profound clarity that sin weakens the soul's natural defenses against evil. He understood that beyond their physical and psychological impact, substances and materials associated with addictive behaviors create spiritual openings that allow negative influences to gain footholds in our lives. These influences then extend to affect our homes and families. What specific items fall into this category? The most obvious include substances used in addiction, illegal drugs and paraphernalia, excessive alcohol, and similar items. These substances don't merely affect the body. They impair judgment, weaken willpower, and create spiritual vulnerabilities. Father Pio observed that addiction often creates a spiritual vacuum that negative forces readily fill. Also in this category are materials that promote or enable sexual vices, pornography in any form, objects associated with sexual behaviors that degrade human dignity, or items that commercialize and objectify God's gift of human sexuality. These don't merely affect the individual, they create a spiritual atmosphere in the home that can impact everyone present, even those unaware of their presence. Gambling paraphernalia that feeds addictive behavior, objects associated with excessive materialism or greed, and tools used for dishonest gain would also concern Father Pio. He recognized that these objects represent more than mere physical items. They embody spiritual choices that open doors to further spiritual compromise. What makes these objects particularly dangerous is that they often lead to a progressive spiritual deterioration. What begins as a minor compromise can develop into deeper spiritual entanglements over time. Father Pio would often say, "The enemy first suggests, then entices, then enslaves." Objects associated with vice often facilitate this progression. I want to approach this topic with compassion rather than condemnation. Many people struggling with these issues are already carrying heavy burdens of shame and guilt. The goal isn't to add to this burden, but to illuminate a path towards spiritual freedom. Father Pio was known for his extraordinary compassion toward those struggling with sin, while remaining absolutely clear about the spiritual dangers involved. If you recognize items in this category within your home, Consider these steps. First, acknowledge the spiritual reality of how these objects may be affecting your home environment. Then make a firm decision to remove them completely, not hiding them temporarily, but eliminating them permanently. This decisive action is itself a powerful spiritual statement. Most importantly, don't face these challenges alone. Seek appropriate support, spiritual counseling, addiction recovery resources, accountability partners, or professional help depending on the specific situation. Padre Pio always emphasized that spiritual healing works hand in hand with practical action and community support. For those supporting loved ones struggling with these issues, remember Padre Pio's approach of unwavering love combined with clear boundaries. Pray for those affected. Maintain firm but compassionate limits, and recognize that your own spiritual practices can help create protected spaces amid difficult circumstances. As we move toward our conclusion, remember that identifying and removing these 5 categories of objects is not about living in fear or superstition. Rather, it's about creating homes that truly serve as spiritual sanctuaries, places where divine peace can flourish and where your family can grow in spiritual health and wholeness. As we reach the conclusion of our journey together, let's take a moment to review the 5 categories of objects that Padre Pio warned could be inviting spiritual darkness into your home. Each of these seemingly innocent items might be affecting the spiritual atmosphere where you and your loved ones live, pray, and grow. First, we discussed books and esoteric items, those occult, New Age, or spiritually questionable materials that might be sitting innocently on your shelves. Second, we explored images and decorations that carry spiritual significance beyond their aesthetic appeal, artwork, statues, and symbols that may be projecting spiritual dissonance into your living space. Third, we examined entertainment with negative spiritual influences, music, movies, and media that might be gradually desensitizing your spirit to darkness. Fourthly, we considered gifts and inherited items that may carry spiritual attachments from their previous owners. And finally, we addressed items associated with various forms of vice that create significant spiritual vulnerabilities. Remember Padre Pio's profound wisdom. The devil is like a chained dog. He can only bite those who come within his reach. By identifying and removing these objects from your home, you're essentially stepping away from that chain's reach, creating a spiritual boundary that protects you and your loved ones. If you've recognized any of these items in your home, now is the time to take action. Begin with prayer, asking for divine guidance and protection as you undertake this spiritual cleansing. Remove problematic objects completely and decisively. After removing them, consider having your home blessed or performing your own prayer of consecration, dedicating your living space as a sanctuary for God's presence. Fill the spaces left by these removed objects with items that invite spiritual light, sacred art, blessed objects, materials that inspire virtue and goodness. Create an environment where prayer flows naturally and divine peace is palpable. The transformation many experience after this spiritual house cleaning can be remarkable. Improve sleep, reduce conflict, a newfound sense of peace, and a deepened prayer life. If this message has touched your heart today, I invite you to write "Home Protected" in the comments below. Your comment helps this important message reach others who may be experiencing unexplained spiritual heaviness in their homes. Share this video with someone you care about who might benefit from this knowledge. Your simple act of sharing could be the answer to their unspoken prayers. I also invite you to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and activate notifications so you won't miss future guidance on protecting your spiritual well-being. Each video we share is designed to strengthen your faith and provide practical spiritual tools for everyday challenges. Let me leave you with this final thought from Padre Pio. Pray, hope, and don't worry. As you create a spiritually protected home, trust that divine assistance is always available to those who sincerely seek it. Your home is meant to be a place of peace, love, and spiritual growth, a little heaven on earth for you and your family. With awareness and decisive action, you can restore and maintain this sacred purpose. May God bless your home and everyone who dwells within it. Until next time, remember that spiritual protection is both your right and your responsibility. Peace be with you. Have you ever wondered what happens to a soul that no one prays for? A forgotten soul with no candles lit, no masses offered, not even a whispered rosary in its memory. What happens in the silence of eternity to those who have departed and been left in the shadows of forgetfulness? This is a profound question that forces us to confront not only the fate of those who have passed on, but also how we deal with death, memory, and eternity. And it is precisely this question that touched the heart of Padre Pio of Pietrelcina with supernatural force. A man who saw beyond the veil of matter, who dialogued with souls in purgatory, who felt the invisible torments of those crying out for help. The modern world moves at a relentless pace. We rush from one moment to the next, barely pausing to remember those who once walked beside us. Death has become something we push away, something we process quickly before returning to our busy lives. But what if I told you that this forgetfulness has profound spiritual consequences? What if I told you that souls are waiting, hoping, longing for someone, anyone, to remember them? If you believe in the power of prayer for departed souls, write in the comments, Padre Pio, she will remember them. This simple act of commitment might be the first step in changing a soul's destiny. Today, I'm going to share with you Padre Pio's extraordinary revelations about what souls in purgatory actually experience, what they desperately ask for, and why your prayers might be the only hope for someone who has been completely forgotten. This knowledge, passed down through Padre Pio's mystical experiences, has the power to transform not only how you pray, but also how you understand the profound connection between the living and the dead. Padre Pio wasn't just any saint. He was a man whose body bore the wounds of Christ, whose soul traveled between worlds, and whose compassion extended beyond the boundaries of death itself. Through his extraordinary spiritual gifts, he became a bridge between our world and the next, bringing back messages that few have ever heard. Stay with me until the end, because the final revelation from Padre Pio about forgotten souls contains a truth so powerful that it might forever change how you think about your own prayers and their eternal impact. Padre Pio was no ordinary priest. Born Francesco Forgione in the small town of Pietrelcina, Italy, in 1887, his life would become a testament to extraordinary spiritual phenomena. From an early age, he experienced visions of both Jesus and Mary. But what made Padre Pio truly remarkable was his profound connection with souls who had passed from this world. For 50 years, he bore the stigmata, the visible wounds of Christ, on his hands, feet, and side. These wounds bled daily, causing him immense physical pain, yet he offered this suffering for the salvation of soul. This was just the beginning of his supernatural gifts. Padre Pio could read hearts, bilocate, appear in two places at once, and, most relevant to our discussion today, he could see and communicate with souls in purgatory. In the quiet corridors of the monastery of San Giovanni Rotondo, Padre Pio would often be visited by souls seeking prayers and relief. The other friars would sometimes hear him speaking in the middle of the night, carrying on conversations with invisible visitors. When asked about these encounters, Padre Pio would simply say, "They come to me for prayers. They need our help." One particularly moving account tells of a night when the other friars found Padre Pio weeping in the chapel. When they asked what troubled him, he explained that he had just received a visit from a soul who had been in purgatory for 40 years. This soul told him that not a single person had prayed for him since his funeral mass. The pain of being forgotten, Padre Pio later explained, is sometimes more acute than the purifying flames themselves. Padre Pio understood that the souls in purgatory cannot pray for themselves. Their time for earning merit has passed with death, They depend entirely on the charity of the living, on us, to shorten their time of purification. Through his mystical experiences, he gained profound insights into what these souls experience, what they most desperately need, and how our smallest prayers can bring them immeasurable relief. What makes these revelations so important is that they come not from theological speculation, but from direct, mystical experience. Padre Pio didn't just believe in the power of prayer for the dead. He witnessed its effects with his own eyes. He saw souls transformed by a single Hail Mary, lightened by the offering of a Mass, comforted by the simple act of remembrance. And what he discovered about what souls ask for when we pray for them might surprise you, challenge you, and ultimately inspire you to a new level of spiritual awareness and compassion. Many of you watching have felt that special connection with loved ones who have passed on. You've sensed their presence, felt their needs, or simply wondered how you could help them on their spiritual journey. This deep desire to help our departed loved ones is exactly why we've created something special for you. Our ebook, The Spiritual Secrets of St. Padre Pio, contains powerful prayers, reflections based on his teachings, and practical advice to strengthen your spirituality. This resource brings together Padre Pio's most profound insights about the connection between this world and the next, including his special prayers for souls in purgatory. This isn't just another spiritual book. It's a practical guide that can transform your prayer life and create a meaningful bridge between you and your departed loved ones. Many readers have shared how these prayers have brought them peace and a deeper sense of connection with those who have passed on. If you'd like to discover these spiritual treasures, simply click the link pinned in the comments below. May this resource be a blessing on your spiritual journey as you learn to pray more effectively for those who need it most. To understand what happens to souls that no one prays for, we must first understand what the Catholic Church teaches about purgatory. Purgatory isn't a second chance or an alternative to heaven or hell. Rather, it's a state of purification for souls who died in God's grace but aren't yet ready for the full glory of heaven. These souls are already saved. They will eventually enter heaven, but they must first be purified. St. Catherine of Genoa, who had mystical visions of purgatory, explained that the pain there is twofold: the purifying fire and the impatient love. The souls burn with love for God, but know they cannot yet embrace Him fully. In this state, they cannot help themselves. They rely entirely on the charity of the living through masses, rosaries, fasts, sacrifices, and indulgences. Each prayer is like a drop of water on the fire of purification. Now imagine the despair of a soul with no one to pray for them. Padre Pio witnessed this anguish firsthand. During one of his mystical experiences, a soul appeared to him shrouded in dense fog, with a dejected face and afflicted eyes. The soul said, "Padre Pio, no one prays for me. I've been forgotten even by my children. My pain is not just the suffering I carry, but the loneliness, the abandonment. I am trapped in a time of waiting." The impact of this revelation was so profound that Padre Pio spent the entire night in prayer, on his knees, with tears in his eyes. He understood better than most that purgatory is not just a place of purification, but also of deep longing for God, a longing that burns more intensely than any fire. What shocked him most wasn't the suffering itself, but the indifference of the living, the silence of those who should remember, the rush of life that buries memory. We live in times when everything is fast, even memory. People die and, after the funeral, are often quickly forgotten. For many, the memorial service is the last gesture. After that, the tomb becomes covered with dry leaves, and the name fades from conversations. But on the spiritual plane, the soul still waits. Padre Pio said that we forget the dead, but they never forget us. And more, a soul from purgatory freed by your prayer will be eternally grateful and will pray for you with all fervor. Here enters a crucial truth. Praying for the dead is an act of charity and also of wisdom. For those who help will also be helped when it's their turn to cross the great threshold. The greatest suffering for these souls isn't just the purification process itself. According to Padre Pio, it's the pain of being forgotten, of feeling abandoned in their moment of greatest need. It's the agony of knowing that liberation is possible through prayer, yet no prayer is offered. It's like someone drowning, calling for help, but no one hears. This is what Padre Pio witnessed. This is why he said, "Pray for the dead. They need you, and you will need them." Through his mystical gifts, Padre Pio gained remarkable insights into what souls in purgatory truly ask for when they reach out to the living. Their requests are both simpler and more profound than many of us might imagine. First and foremost, they ask to be remembered. This may seem basic, but in the spiritual realm, remembrance is a powerful act of love. When we remember the dead, when we speak their names, recall their lives, or simply hold them in our thoughts during prayer, we create a spiritual connection that transcends the barrier between worlds. Padre Pio once told his spiritual children, "The dead ask not for elaborate monuments or expensive displays. They ask only that you remember them before God." Second, souls ask for the Holy Mass. Of all prayers and offerings, the Mass holds a unique power to relieve suffering in purgatory. Padre Pio would say, "The Mass is the highest form of prayer, and it is the most powerful way to help the souls in purgatory." He explained that when a Mass is offered for a specific soul, that soul receives special graces that can significantly reduce their time of purification. Even if a soul is not directly named, but is included in the general intention for all the faithful departed, they receive relief. Third, souls ask for specific prayers that carry indulgences. The Church teaches that certain prayers, when said with the proper disposition, can carry partial or plenary indulgences that may be applied to souls in purgatory. Padre Pio particularly recommended the Rosary, the Stations of the Cross, and the prayer of Saint Gertrude the Great, which is said to release 1,000 souls from purgatory each time it is prayed with devotion. Fourth, they ask for acts of charity done in their name. Padre Pio revealed that when we perform works of mercy, feeding the hungry, visiting the sick, comforting the afflicted, and offer these actions for the dead, they receive tremendous benefit. He would say, every act of love performed on earth echoes in eternity, but perhaps most surprisingly, souls ask for our joy. Padre Pio explained that excessive grief, especially when it leads to despair or bitterness, can actually burden the departed. While natural mourning is healthy and necessary, souls take comfort when their loved ones eventually find peace and joy again. As Padre Pio put it, the dead do not want your tears as much as they want your prayers. Your joy gives them joy, your peace gives them peace. How do souls communicate these needs to us? According to Padre Pio, they often use subtle means, a sudden memory, an unexpected dream, a feeling of presence, or even a slight chill in a room. These aren't meant to frighten, but to remind. When you suddenly think of someone who has passed away, it may not be mere coincidence. It might be their way of gently asking for prayer. One particularly moving testimony comes from a woman who visited Padre Pio in the 1950s. She had lost her husband in the war and had been consumed by grief for years. During confession, before she could even speak, Padre Pio said to her, "Your husband is at peace, but he needs your prayers more than your tears. He has been trying to tell you this for years." The woman later reported that she had frequently dreamed of her husband standing silently by her bed. After following Padre Pio's counsel and praying for him regularly, the dreams changed. In the last one, her husband appeared smiling and then walked into a brilliant light. To understand the full impact of our prayers for the dead, we must first grasp what Padre Pio called the economy of grace, the spiritual system through which prayers and sacrifices flow between the Church militant, us on earth, the Church suffering, souls in purgatory, and the Church triumphant, saints in heaven. In this divine economy, nothing is wasted, and every spiritual act has far-reaching consequences. Padre Pio revealed that when we pray for the dead, several miraculous things happen simultaneously. First, the soul for whom we pray receives immediate relief. Padre Pio described this relief as a cool breeze in the midst of flames, or a moment of clarity in the fog of purification. Even a single Hail Mary can provide a soul with moments of consolation. A complete rosary can bring hours of relief. A Mass offered can liberate a soul entirely if they are near the end of their purification. Second, the soul becomes aware of who is praying for them. This creates a profound spiritual bond that transcends death itself. Padre Pio explained, "The souls know exactly who is helping them. They see it as clearly as we see the sun at noon, and they begin immediately to pray for their benefactors with an intensity that we on earth cannot comprehend." Third, our prayers help souls progress through what Padre Pio described as levels of purification. He often spoke of purgatory not as a single state, but as having different degrees or stages. Our consistent prayers help souls advance through these stages more quickly, drawing them ever closer to the beatific vision, the direct experience of God's presence that is the essence of heaven. The power of our prayers is not dependent on our own holiness or perfection. Padre Pio emphasized that even the simplest prayer, offered with sincerity and love, carries immense power for the souls in purgatory. He would tell his spiritual children, "God looks at the love with which you pray, not the eloquence of your words." One of the most powerful revelations Padre Pio shared about praying for the dead is that these prayers are never wasted. If you pray for a soul who is already in heaven, the grace of your prayer is applied to another soul in need, often the most forgotten or abandoned soul. He explained, "No prayer is ever lost in God's economy. He ensures that every act of charity reaches those who need it most." Padre Pio also revealed something that many find surprising, that prayers for the dead can be more effective after major feast days or during special liturgical seasons. He particularly emphasized the power of prayers offered during the Octave of All Souls, November Fast 8th, during Holy Week, and on the feasts of the Sacred Heart and the Immaculate Heart of Mary. Perhaps most movingly, Padre Pio described what happens when a soul is finally released from purgatory through prayer. He said, "When a soul enters heaven because of your prayers, the joy in heaven is indescribable. All the angels and saints rejoice at this new arrival, and they learn the name of the person whose prayers helped this soul reach paradise. You gain a grateful friend in eternity." This exchange, this spiritual reciprocity, transforms praying for the dead from a solemn duty into a profound privilege. We are not merely helping those who cannot help themselves. We are participating in a divine exchange that enriches heaven itself and creates eternal bonds of gratitude and love. Based on his mystical experiences, Padre Pio provided specific guidance on how to pray most effectively for the souls in purgatory. These are not merely theoretical suggestions, but proven spiritual practices that Padre Pio himself used and recommended to his spiritual children. The Holy Mass stands above all other prayers in its efficacy for the dead. Padre Pio would say, "The souls in purgatory long for the Mass more than a parched land longs for rain." He strongly encouraged having Masses offered for specific individuals, especially on the anniversary of their death, their birthday, or on All Souls' Day. If possible, attending the Mass yourself and receiving communion for that intention multiplies its spiritual power. The Rosary holds special significance in helping souls. Padre Pio revealed that when the Rosary is prayed for a departed soul, each Hail Mary falls like dew upon them, providing temporary but real relief. He especially recommended the sorrowful mysteries for this intention, as they unite the suffering soul with Christ's own suffering, which has infinite redemptive value. Padre Pio also taught a simple yet powerful daily practice. When you wake in the morning, offer your day's activities, sacrifices, and difficulties for the souls most in need. He explained, "This morning offering creates a stream of grace that flows to souls throughout your day, even when you're not consciously praying. For those souls who have been long forgotten, Padre Pio suggested a specific approach. Choose one day each month to dedicate to anonymous souls, those with no one left on earth to pray for them. On this day, offer your Mass, communion, Rosary, and daily activities for these abandoned souls. He assured that this act of charity brings extraordinary comfort to those who have been forgotten the longest. Lighting a candle can be a powerful prayer for the dead when done with proper intention. Padre Pio taught that the light symbolizes Christ, and as the candle consumes itself, it represents our own offering of prayer. He suggested a simple prayer to accompany this gesture. Lord, by this light, illuminate a forgotten soul. The hour of mercy, 3 p.m., commemorating Christ's death, holds special power for helping souls. Padre Pio recommended saying the Divine Mercy Chaplet at this hour specifically for the dead. He explained that because it's based on offering Christ's own sacrifice to the Father, it has particular efficacy for souls undergoing purification. Another practice Padre Pio strongly endorsed was the heroic act of charity, a voluntary offering of all your own future merits and prayers for the souls in purgatory. While this is a serious commitment, he explained that it creates a tremendous flow of grace for suffering souls and paradoxically brings spiritual abundance back to the person who makes this offering. For those who wish to help many souls at once, Padre Pio recommended visiting a cemetery and walking among the graves while praying. With each step, offer a brief prayer such as, "Eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord." He revealed that this simple practice can bring momentary relief to many forgotten souls simultaneously. Perhaps most importantly, Padre Pio emphasized consistency over quantity. He would tell people, "It is better to say one Hail Mary every day for a soul than to pray an entire rosary once a month." The steady stream of prayer, even if small, creates what he called a continuous current of grace that gradually but surely helps souls advance toward heaven. In times of spiritual dryness, when prayer seems difficult or rote, Padre Pio offered this advice. Simply tell God, "I offer this moment of dryness as my prayer for the forgotten souls." Even your struggles can become powerful prayers when offered with love. While our primary motivation for praying for the dead should be charity, Padre Pio revealed that those who remember the forgotten souls receive extraordinary spiritual benefits themselves. This isn't merely a transaction or exchange. It's part of the beautiful economy of grace that connects all members of the Church across the threshold of death. First and foremost, Padre Pio taught that souls who are released from purgatory through our prayers become powerful intercessors on our behalf. He explained, "These souls do not forget the good that was done for them. They help in temptations, protect in difficulties, and obtain extraordinary graces." In other words, by praying for an unknown person, you may be gaining a powerful friend in heaven. One of Padre Pio's spiritual children once shared a remarkable testimony. After faithfully praying for forgotten souls for several years, she was driving on a treacherous mountain road when her brakes suddenly failed. As her car careened toward a steep cliff, she felt what she described as invisible hands taking control of the steering wheel, guiding her car to safety against a hillside rather than over the precipice. Later in prayer, she received a clear interior understanding that one of the souls she had helped had intervened to save her life. Padre Pio also revealed that those who pray for the forgotten dead receive special protection at the hour of their own death. He said, "No one who has been dedicated to relieving the souls in purgatory will die without special assistance at the final moment. This protection comes not only from the souls themselves, but from God, who honors this spiritual work of mercy with particular graces." Those who regularly remember the dead in prayer often find themselves developing greater spiritual sensitivity overall. Padre Pio explained that as we attune ourselves to the needs of souls beyond the veil, we simultaneously become more aware of God's presence in our daily lives. Many of his spiritual children reported experiences of deeper prayer, greater discernment, and heightened awareness of spiritual realities after adopting the practice of regular prayer for the dead. There are also practical benefits that Padre Pio observed in those dedicated to this ministry. He noted they often developed greater patience in suffering, recognizing that their own trials could be offered for souls. They tended to grow in detachment from material possessions, seeing more clearly what truly matters in the light of eternity. Many found a new sense of purpose, knowing that even their simplest prayers were accomplishing real good in the spiritual realm. Perhaps most significantly, Padre Pio taught that praying for the forgotten dead transforms our own relationship with death. The more you pray for those who have gone before you, he would say, the less you will fear your own passage from this world to the next. This practice gradually replaces fear with hope, dread with anticipation, and uncertainty with trust. Before his own death, Padre Pio made this remarkable promise: if you remember the forgotten souls now, I guarantee you will not be forgotten when your time comes. This wasn't merely a prediction, but a spiritual principle. What we sow in the spiritual realm, we will also reap. The mercy we extend to others will be extended to us in our own time of need. In this way, what begins as an act of charity toward unknown souls becomes a source of immeasurable blessing in our own lives, creating a beautiful circle of grace that extends from earth to purgatory to heaven and back again. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine that you have departed from this life. Your soul is in a state of purification, yearning for the light of God. And then time passes. No one remembers you anymore. Your children remain busy with their lives. Your grandchildren don't know who you were. Your friends have also passed on. And the church, you've been forgotten in the back of a sanctuary, in the drawer of a baptistry register, in the silence of a tomb. How would you feel? Now return to the present and answer, would you want this to happen to anyone? Before his death, Padre Pio advised his spiritual children, never stop praying for souls, especially for the most forgotten ones. They are the most grateful, and when they are freed, they will rush to your aid. You cannot imagine the power these souls have when they reach heaven. Today, we've journeyed through Padre Pio's profound revelations about what souls ask for when we pray for them. We've discovered that they long not just for relief from purification, but for the simple gift of being remembered. We've learned that our prayers, even the smallest ones, can bring tremendous comfort to those who can no longer help themselves. And we've seen how this spiritual work of mercy creates a beautiful cycle of grace that enriches both the giver and the receiver. The modern world moves quickly, rushing from one distraction to the next, rarely pausing to remember those who have gone before us. But you now hold a precious truth, the understanding that beyond the veil of death, souls wait, hope, and long for our prayers. You have the power to bring light into that waiting darkness. You have the privilege of participating in what Padre Pio called the ministry of remembrance. I invite you today to make a simple but profound commitment. Before going to sleep tonight, light a candle for a forgotten soul, say an Our Father and a Hail Mary for those whom no one else remembers, and whisper softly, Lord, receive this prayer for a soul who has been waiting for a long time. Then sleep in peace. Because perhaps today, through your prayer, you have freed a soul from forgetfulness. Praying for the dead is an act of faith, but also of humanity. When we remember, we honor. When we pray, we heal. And when we give, we receive twice as much. Padre Pio showed us that eternity begins with small gestures, that charity does not end with death, and that souls do not die, they only wait. May this moment, as you've listened to these words, be a moment when a soul in purgatory is smiling. And may one day when your time comes, that soul be there to say thank you. You did not forget me. Now it's my turn to pray for you. If these teachings have touched your heart, write thank you in the comments. Your gesture helps this message reach more people. And remember to like this video, share it with someone who might need this spiritual wisdom, and subscribe to our channel for more profound insights that can transform your faith journey. Our special prayer community is growing every day, and we need your support to continue spreading the faith and teachings of Padre Pio. By becoming a member of our channel, you're not just supporting our work, you're joining a worldwide family united in prayer for forgotten souls. Together, we can ensure that no soul remains abandoned in the shadows of forgetfulness. May God bless you, may Padre Pio intercede for you, and may the souls you have helped welcome you with joy when your own journey on earth is complete.